Hey, true believers, coming at you with a lunchtime comic review. Yes, I know it has been a while, but I wanted to go over the next part of Marvel Comics Presents. This is issue 77, chapter 5, guys. And this comic is just straight up animalistic brutality. So before we go into explaining what all that means, let's talk about who's responsible for this book, shall we? So this is Weapon X, Marvel Comics Presents number 77, Weapon X, Chapter 5. And so far it says, now that the professor has worked up a complete psychological profile on Experiment X, he further inducts Cornelius into the project. Story and art, Barry Windsor-Smith. Letter is Jim Novak and Barry Windsor-Smith. Wolverine was created by Len Wein, and the X-Men were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And like I said, if you guys are interested, we're not going over the other books, but in this anthology there's Shauna, Sergeant Fury, and Dracula, and the Submariner. So we open up on these wolf eyes, just staring, hungry, ready to attack. And then we kind of jump into a parallel of Logan, just kind of showing that these two are one and the same. And then we see, like I said, Windsor-Smith did such a masterful job of, what is that called? Inducting us into understanding which color is which character. So like, for those of you that are just now joining us, make sure to check the other reviews out. But for the sake of this one, the green is the professor, the yellow is Cornelius, and the pink is Hines, and the blue is always like other personnel, like techs or soldiers. So you get good morning, professor, good morning, sir, Hines, Cornelius. So this might be the big day, eh? We're hoping so, sir. Good. Dr. Cornelius, what do you have for me? Well, we believe we've overcome the supra-inductor and gland problem. How so? A simple trabeculae matrix. It was staring us in the face all the time. I'm glad that's simple, because I'm having a hard enough time trying to pronounce that. And then the professor says, but we've got it now. We believe so, sir. Excellent. Have you released Logan's feed cables? Not yet, sir. Then do it now, Cornelius. Wranglers, release all cables. Copy, like the little copies I give there, and haul them in. Well, Doctor, show me what Weapon X can do. And to my knowledge, from going over the last few issues, I think this is the first time Weapon X is uttered in the book, because up to here it was called Experiment X. And the reason I read all that is I kind of wanted to bring everybody up to speed, and I like the way that the dialogue circles around the entire page, so it just kind of brings you a full circle back to the center, showing Logan, this beast, like we see here, getting ready for a brawl. And so you find that they have cameras and whatnot to monitor him. They got stuff hooked up to monitor his heart rate and to get analysis of what's going on inside of him. And this is sick because they cover him in sheep's blood, and they leave him out in the freezing cold to do this experiment. Like the professor here says, Mr. Logan seems to be covered in ichor. Sheep's blood, sir. Quicker scent. I see. Ingenious. Lovely. Now, while Logan's sitting out here covered in sheep's blood, getting ready for a massacre in sub-zero temperatures, we get this, where's that coffee? Your coffee, sir. Thanks. Danish? Sure. And then Hines, kind of being the semi-voice of reason, he's been out in sub-zero for 10 minutes. Can we get on with this? We're following procedure, Miss Hines. And so while everyone's sitting here in a warm face, which you can't see. Everything's done in voiceover in this issue, which I like because it makes you feel very separated, like you are out in the cold with Logan. So you feel his plight, while in your mind you can just imagine these dopes just sitting around a warm office, eating and drinking and bossing people around. So even though these are supposed to be men and women of science, they have this class system where their experiments are not humans, like we found out in the last issue where Cornelius told the professor, we're trying to get rid of the self. And remember how I talked about the juxtaposition of the id and the superego. And then Logan sitting there, and they release these hounds. And what I meant also by this class thing is where these people are just sitting there eating and just chilling. Logan's out there probably starving, freezing. And then they have these wolves. And the professor says, when were these animals last fed? And the Cornelius is like, I don't know. Wranglers? About 6 days ago. And then Cornelius, which you want to say, they're supposed to be a man of science, he's just like, well, gee, they can have my Danish. And you're just, are you serious, dude? These are living creatures. Come on. And after they release the hounds, the wolves, get it, release the hounds, they just tear into Logan, and he does not react. Like, us reading Wolverine, we're used to him just reacting automatically, but at this point, he's not. And so they're trying to turn him on, and finally things start kicking on. He goes, it's coming through. The epinephrine, if I'm not pronouncing that right, let me know, is rising. 80, 60, 90%, 95. He's fighting back. Listen to that feral roar. The blood rust. Gentlemen, we have succeeded. And you just see, roar, and you see the claws popping through. And Cornelius is like, I don't think that sound is bloodlust, Professor. I think it's pain. And you just see Logan go to town on these wolves like so much tissue paper, just slice and hack. And you just see the rage on his face. And Hines is saying, can't we save some of the animals? And the professor, again, superego showing, I think not, madam. I'm enjoying this far too much. And so while Logan's fighting for his life, well, I apologize. This is the one panel we get where they're sitting in a nice, cozy area. That's the only time we ever see the doctors. So anyways, Logan's fighting for his life, and I think that's what the juxtaposition here is supposed to be, is Logan in pain, fighting, angry, and ho-hum, whatever. So anyway, they look at it, kind of like an x-ray of his bones while they're fighting, and they're like, look at that. The perfect synthesis of human trabeculae and adamantium. Bone, bonded to the hardest metal in the world. Inside the body of a berserker, Logan. The perfect fighting machine. And in what he's saying here echoes here, where he's just hack and slash. And then you just see, the death cry there. And Cornelius is like, good God, he's roaring like an animal. Ah. And he thought it was just pain that made him cry out, Cornelius. No. The wolves would kill for food. Or territory, perhaps. But this man, this living weapon, his passion is the fear of his prey, and to find relish in the odor of the blood. And that is a rough scene. And like I said, you get maybe one or two panels of seeing Cornelius and the professor and all them inside the lab. But like I said, you are trapped outside with Logan. Like, you remember in the, chapter 1, where we just felt trapped in the Weapon X tank with him, where, we kind of just got a lot of voiceovers. This kind of echoes back where that was like the first part. Now we're kind of back to this where it's another experiment. And so we're stuck out here in the freezing cold with Logan, and you can almost feel it in your bones. And you kind of feel a rush of the kill when he destroys those wolves. But then what's sick is everyone's saying, well, let's call it a day. And the professor says, you can turn him off now, doctor. And Cornelius goes to say, bring Logan in. And the professor says, cancel that order. And Cornelius is like, I thought we were done. We are. And so he's like, then leave Logan out for the night. And then this is where you kind of start seeing the professor becoming more and more of a monster, relishing in his own perverse tastes. Like I said, he thinks he's his own god. He says, I like the idea of him resting in his own gore. But it's 15 degrees below. All the better toughening him up, huh? Ha! And he's just, whoa. So everyone's going to bed, saying goodnight in their nice warm place, and you see Logan out here with in his kill, and you kind of get this, you see the dead wolf here, and you kind of see this howl, and again it echoes like the first page where Wolverine is out there like the rest of the animals. And then of course Cornelius says, we have many more trials for Weapon X. So Barry Windsor-Smith, like I said, this is a great comic book. And again, this is something that a lot of writers, I'm not trying to bash when I say this, but a lot of writers don't know how to write subtext anymore, or how to use images to do kind of a symbolism or juxtapositions. And each issue has dealt with different things, whether it's psychological or terror, or base instincts, animalistic base instincts, class structure. And Barry Windsor-Smith says it without saying it, and says it enough to where the art shows it, enough where he kind of gives you enough to think about it, but he shows and doesn't tell so much. And that's what I'm loving about this series. This is just a masterpiece that we've been looking at the last couple of days. And like I say, each time I get so amped up that I want to just grab the next issue and just go right into it. But, got to step back, take a breath, and just wait for the next one and let, think about what happened in this book. So with that said, guys, if you've liked this comic or this review or both, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our page, and hit that fancy little Weapon X bell next to subscribe. That way, as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. You can come here and we can have a dialogue down in the comments or on our social media pages. I will make sure to leave links in the descriptions down below. And also, please make sure to support your local comic shop and go pick up a copy of this book or the collected trade. This is definitely something you want to have in your collection if you're an X-Men and Wolverine fan. So with all that said, guys, I hope you continue to have a great lunch hour, and I will check y'all on the next review. Thank you for stopping by.